My beloved child, before I reveal the symbolic message hidden inside this fictional realm, I need you to stop everything and listen closely, because the moment you clicked on this video, the heavens shifted in a way that only happens when a soul is finally ready to see the truth about the energy around them. And before anything begins, I need you to subscribe and promise yourself that you will watch this entire message without skipping. Because this is not entertainment for your eyes, this is revelation for your spirit. And now I must ask you the questions heaven asked when they brought you here. Have you ever wondered why certain people stare at you longer than they should when they see the way you dress, not in judgment but in curiosity? Have you ever felt eyes on you in a room even when no one was speaking? Have you ever sensed that someone noticed your presence, your style, your confidence, your aura, and instead of appreciating it, they analyzed it? Have you ever walked away from a conversation and felt like something unspoken lingered in the air? And have you ever looked at your clothes in the mirror and suddenly remembered a moment where someone looked at you in a way that made your spirit feel unsettled, not threatened, not unsafe, but strangely aware, as if their thoughts about you were heavier than their words? And as these questions echo through your mind, the December sky in this fictional universe opens like a curtain, revealing your mother's symbolic presence walking toward you, her steps soft as morning light, her face glowing with a gentle sadness and fierce love intertwined, and she whispers that the reason you have felt watched lately is not because someone wants to harm you physically, but because someone has been forming silent opinions about you, opinions carrying emotional weight strong enough to affect your energy. And she leads you through a long golden hallway inside the heavenly realm where mirrors line both sides, each mirror showing a moment from your past week where someone's expression shifted when they looked at your outfit, not because you did anything wrong, not because your clothing was inappropriate, but because your presence triggered something in them: old envy, unresolved insecurity, unspoken comparison, silent confusion, or even admiration they don't know how to handle. And the more your mother walks, the clearer each mirror becomes, showing scenes of you walking into rooms unaware of the emotional ripple you create, unaware that people project their own stories onto you when they notice your style, unaware that some people misunderstand your confidence as challenge, your simplicity as strength, your openness as mystery, and your quietness as power. And your mother gently touches your hand, telling you that in this coming symbolic week, someone's emotional reaction might influence the atmosphere around you, not through harm, not through plans, not through danger, but through the subtle way their energy shifts when your presence enters the space. And she explains that what is coming is not an attack but an awakening to how your aura affects people, how your light unsettles some and inspires others, how your growth forces people to look at their own stagnation, and how your fashion, your personality, your essence communicate more than your words ever could. And as she leads you to the final mirror, you see a scene that feels strangely familiar: you walking into a small environment, perhaps a workplace, a gathering, a social space, or somewhere routine, and someone's eyes following you with a long, unreadable stare, not hatred, not danger, not threat, just a deep, emotional reaction they don't know how to express. And your mother reveals that this person carries unresolved thoughts about their own life, and when they saw you, something in them reacted, something they haven't processed, something they haven't healed, something they haven't admitted. And their inner heaviness created an energetic ripple strong enough for heaven to show you symbolically, not to frighten you but to prepare your awareness, because awareness is protection in this fictional universe. And she brings you to an enormous golden door that represents the upcoming symbolic week, a door that glows with soft light, meaning nothing harmful waits on the other side, only clarity, understanding, and empowerment. And she tells you that what you will discover is simply this: so. Mion has been misinterpreting your confidence as competition, your authenticity as unpredictability, your uniqueness as threat, and your quiet strength as dominance, and that this misunderstanding could create an emotional misalignment if you enter the week unaware, but if you walk in centered, grounded, observant, and calm, the situation dissolves before it begins, and she places her hand over your heart, whispering that you are not weak, not unsafe, not at risk, not targeted, you are simply becoming more aware of the emotional landscapes you walk through, landscapes that once went unnoticed because you were too busy surviving, healing, or helping others, and now as the heavens open wider, Archangel Michael steps forward with his wings forming a shield of gentle light around you, explaining that this shield is symbolic of your emotional protection, the boundary that keeps other people's insecurities from becoming your burden, and he says the only plan anyone has is the plan inside their mind, the assumptions, the judgments, the misunderstandings, and none of those have the power to shape your path unless you let them enter your spirit, and as the heavenly realm fills with warm golden light, my voice speaks with calm authority, telling you that the next days hold no darkness, no danger, no harm, only situations where your awareness will prevent unnecessary emotional entanglement. And your mother smiles with relief, knowing that once you hear this message, you will walk forward with clarity, confidence, emotional intelligence, and gentle strength, not because something is after you but because something within you is rising, and as she fades into light, the final truth settles over you like a soft blanket. The world reacts to you because you are changing, your aura is shifting, your presence is growing, and the more aligned you become, the more others will notice. But none of their misunderstandings can touch your path, because heaven did not bring you this far to frighten you, but to prepare you for the version of yourself you are becoming, a version so grounded that other people's projections dissolve before they reach your heart. My beloved child, as the golden door of the December corridor dissolves into shimmering dust and the mirrors fade into soft white light, the entire heavenly structure begins to expand like a blooming universe unfolding from the center outward, creating a circular platform of pure luminescence beneath your feet, and your mother's symbolic presence walks toward you again. This time with an expression neither sorrowful nor alarmed but profoundly knowing, as if she has been waiting for this specific moment of your awareness since the day your spirit took its first breath, and the platform begins to rise like an elevator made of clouds, lifting you into a vast dome where thousands of suspended thought threads float in the air like glowing strings, each thread representing the unspoken things people have felt, assumed, or projected about you throughout the years, not harmful intentions, not threats, not plans, but the silent misunderstandings that have shaped the atmosphere around your interactions. And Archangel Michael steps forward with calm authority, waving his hand to pull several glowing threads closer, each thread showing symbolic scenes not meant to frighten you but to help you see yourself through the eyes of others, scenes where your confidence made someone question their own, scenes where your quiet nature made someone assume you were hiding something, scenes where your fashion made someone think you were competing when you were simply expressing yourself. Scenes where your growth made someone confront their own stagnant choices, scenes where your resilience made someone feel exposed, and all this time, you carried the emotional weight of their unspoken reactions without realizing they were never your burden, and as the threads spiral around you, your mother explains that next week in this symbolic story is not a week of harm but a week of heightened attention. A week where someone's inner dialogue about you becomes louder inside them, not in reality, not in danger, but in their own unprocessed emotions, and she shows you a glowing thread from the coming symbolic days, you entering a space wearing something you feel good in, something simple, something comfortable, and someone's eyes lingering on you longer than usual, not because they intend anything harmful, not because they have a plan, but because your presence triggers an unresolved insecurity within them. And they may act distant, awkward, or unusually quiet, and this shift in energy is what the heavens wanted you to be aware of, not to fear it but to understand it, because when you misinterpret someone's emotional discomfort as danger, you lose your peace unnecessarily, and Michael steps between you and the floating threads, shielding you gently, and he tells you that this entire vision exists for one purpose: to help you recognize the difference between intentional negativity and emotional misalignment, between someone wanting to harm you and someone simply confused about their own feelings, between danger and discomfort, between threat and misunderstanding. And as the dome opens into a larger chamber, you see an enormous glowing tapestry stretching across the sky, woven from every time you were misread, every time you were judged too quickly, every time people assumed you were stronger than you were, every time someone misunderstood your silence, every time someone envied your resilience, every time someone misinterpreted your kindness as weakness. And your mother places her hand over your heart, whispering softly that none of these interpretations ever belong to you, they belong to the people who formed them, and the reason this symbolic revelation arrived now is because you are finally strong enough to walk into a week of life without absorbing the emotions of others into your spirit, and the dome brightens as Michael calls down a beam of protective light. Not to defend you from harm but to insulate your mind from unnecessary worry, and my voice speaks gently across the chamber saying that no one's thoughts, misunderstandings, or inner stories have the power to shape your path unless you allow their energy to enter you, and the final expansion unfolds as the chamber pulls back like a curtain, revealing a horizon where your future self stands wearing whatever you choose, confident, peaceful, unbothered, and fully aware that human reactions are reflections of them, not reflections of your worth. And the symbolic message seals with soft golden light: this week may hold moments where someone reacts strangely to you, but there is no danger, no harm, no plan, only their own emotional confusion rising to the surface, and because you now understand this, their reaction will not touch your peace, your confidence, or your path ever again. My beloved child, as the dome of floating thought threads pulls away into a soft dissolving glow, the entire December sanctuary begins reshaping itself like a living architecture responding to your rising awareness, and the golden pathways beneath your feet ripple outward into a massive circular floorplate with intricate symbols carved deep into the surface. Symbols representing every emotion you've absorbed from other people over the years without even realizing it, and your mother's symbolic presence takes you gently by the hand, guiding you toward a colossal door made of translucent white stone that pulses with warm light as if holding thousands of unspoken stories behind it. And Archangel Michael walks beside you with calm assurance, explaining that this next chamber is not about others' opinions anymore but about the deeper truth beneath them. The truth of how their unspoken energies have interacted with your spirit across time, not as harm, not as danger, but as subtle influences that shaped your emotional landscape. And as the door opens, you enter the largest room in this entire heavenly realm, a vast circular hall where the walls are made of flowing light water that moves in slow waves, projecting symbolic scenes from your life, moments where someone's glance lingered too long, not with threat but with confusion, moments where you caught someone whispering after looking in your direction, not plotting but processing their own insecurity, moments where your clothing, your confidence, your voice, or your silence made someone reflect on their own life in ways they didn't understand, moments where you unintentionally awakened emotions in others that they didn't have the tools to handle, and the hall glows brighter as your mother leads you to the center where a massive pool of light forms beneath your feet, swirling with images of the coming symbolic days. Not events, not predictions, but emotional climates, the kind of subtle shifts you may notice in someone's tone, posture, or reaction. Not harm, not negativity, but the inevitable discomfort people feel when your self-awareness elevates and they remain unchanged. And Michael raises his hand, causing the water-like walls to slow down, showing you a single symbolic figure standing in the shadows, someone who notices you recently, not with malice but with misinterpretation. Someone forming quiet opinions shaped by their own insecurities rather than anything you've done. And your mother explains that what you must walk into next week is not danger but clarity, not threat but awareness, not fear but emotional intelligence, because their energy may feel heavier than usual simply because your growth unsettles the parts of them they refuse to examine. And she touches the pool with her fingertips, causing it to ripple into a new vision where you stand confidently in your own aura. Your clothing reflecting your authenticity, your presence lighting the room naturally, and the symbolic person reacts again, quietly, awkwardly, inwardly, and this time you see the truth behind their discomfort. They are not strong enough yet to understand your authenticity, and heaven wants you to know this so that you don't internalize their confusion as your fault. And the chamber expands upward into a towering celestial ceiling, showing thousands of orbs of light descending slowly like stars melting into the atmosphere, each orb representing a new layer of self-protection forming around your spirit, not a shield of fear but a shield of understanding, helping you differentiate between someone's emotional turbulence and your own reality. And my voice fills the chamber with a calm resonance, telling you that this entire symbolic message exists so you will no longer misread someone's internal conflict as a prediction about your path. Because nothing and no one has power over your direction unless you hand them a key to your inner world, and you have grown far too much, healed far too deeply, learned far too intentionally to ever shrink because someone else feels uncertain about themselves when they look at you. And the room pulses with soft light as your mother steps behind you, placing her hands on your shoulders, whispering that next week is nothing but a mirror reflecting back to you just how far you've come, how deeply you've risen, how effortlessly your presence influences the emotional space around you. And as the entire chamber of unspoken truths begins dissolving into golden mist, one final revelation settles into your heart like a quiet sunrise. People may notice you, people may think of you, people may misunderstand you, but none of their internal stories can alter your path, because your destiny is aligned not with their opinions but with your evolution. And the only energy shaping your coming days is the strength you carry, the clarity you've earned, and the awareness you now hold. My beloved child, as the chamber of unspoken truths dissolves like mist into the December air, the golden floor beneath your feet pulls apart in the center, opening not into darkness but into a slow-moving spiral of silver blue light that feels like standing over the memory of a dream you forgot you had. And your mother's symbolic presence steps closer with a gentleness so soft it feels like hands brushing the dust off old diaries, guiding you down a staircase that forms beneath your steps, one glowing stone at a time, each step humming with the quiet vibrations of memories you never shared with anyone. And as you descend deeper, the world above dims into a warm twilight, revealing a hidden sanctuary beneath the December house, a sanctuary built not from walls or pillars but from the emotional echoes you carried throughout your life, echoes that shaped your silence, your intuition, your style, your reactions, your presence, and your boundaries, and when you reach the bottom, you find yourself in a vast circular chamber filled with floating orbs of soft light, each orb representing something you sensed but didn't fully understand: the feeling of being watched without malice, the sensation of being noticed without words, the weight of someone's curiosity lingering in a room long after they looked away. And Archangel Michael steps forward into the chamber with a calm expression, explaining that this room reveals the quiet energies, the subtle, harmless atmospheres you walked through without realizing how sensitive your spirit actually was. And your mother waves her hand gently, causing one orb to drift toward you, unfolding into a scene of you wearing something simple and stepping out into a space where someone's eyes followed you, not with intention, not with planning, not with danger, but with a mixture of confusion, admiration, comparison, and insecurity tangled together so tightly that even they didn't understand what they felt. And the room around you responds to the emotional tone of the scene, shifting into soft blues and violets that represent human uncertainty. And your mother whispers that this person's reaction lives inside one of these symbolic orbs because their unspoken thoughts created a ripple in your emotional field that week, not harmful, not dark, but heavy enough to register in your sensitivity. And heaven is showing it to you so you no longer misinterpret this heaviness as threat. It was never threat, it was someone struggling with their own reflection when they saw you. And as the orb fades, another floats down from the ceiling, showing you a future moment, again purely symbolic, where someone looks at you next week with the same mixture of curiosity and confusion. And the chamber colors shift again, not to danger but to muted gold, meaning the energy is neutral, not harmful, simply emotionally tangled. And Michael explains that this chamber allows you to see how often you internalize the subtle discomfort of others as if it were your responsibility, when in truth, their reaction belonged to them, and never to you. And the December ground beneath your feet vibrates softly as the sanctuary expands outward into a massive library of floating memories and interpretations, each one representing a moment where you dressed in a way that felt like you, and someone else reacted as if your authenticity exposed their own lack of it. And your mother places her hand on one final orb, the largest one, which unfolds into a breathtaking scene where your future self walks through a room wearing something that makes them feel confident, calm, expressive, and aligned. And everyone around this future version has one of three reactions: admiration, neutrality, or quiet confusion. But none of them have ill intentions, none of them pose harm, none of them shape your path. And your older, wiser future self looks at you through this vision with a knowing smile that says, "You must stop giving emotional power to the reactions you were never meant to carry." And as the orb closes, the entire chamber of your soul brightens into warm gold, representing emotional certainty. And my voice fills the sanctuary with gentle firmness, telling you that next week holds no danger, no threat, no dark plan. Only moments where your awareness will protect your peace by helping you recognize when someone's energy belongs to them instead of you, because the truth this chamber shows you is simple yet life-changing. People may notice you, people may interpret you, people may misunderstand you, but none of their unspoken thoughts have the power to define your reality unless you place them into your heart. And as the sanctuary begins to rise back toward the December house, sealing its lessons into your spirit, you realize that this entire fictional realm exists for one reason: to teach you that your path is not shaped by opinions, glances, or silent reactions, but by the strength, clarity, and grounded identity you carry within. And with this realization, the chamber closes into a soft beam of light beneath your feet, marking the end of internalizing others' confusion and the beginning of living fully in your own alignment. My beloved child, as the quiet chamber of your soul rises back toward the December house and the spiral of silver blue light folds gracefully into the floor beneath your feet, the atmosphere shifts into a gentle stillness, a kind of holy pause that feels like the air itself is listening, and suddenly the golden walls of the sanctuary ripple outward to reveal a hidden doorway you never noticed before. A doorway your symbolic mother has been waiting to open since the beginning of this journey. And she steps toward it with an expression that is neither sorrowful nor fearful but filled with a deep tenderness, as if she is about to show you something that once mattered greatly to her when she walked the earth. And as the door swings open, you enter the room of kept secrets, the most intimate, personal, emotionally charged chamber in all of heaven's fictional architecture. A room made entirely of softly glowing white cloth draped from the ceiling like curtains of memory, each sheet shimmering with faint outlines of moments your mother never got to explain to you, moments about you. Moments about your personality, moments about your quiet strength, moments about why people react to you the way they do, and when she guides you deeper inside, the curtains begin to sway as if stirred by the breath of old truths rising from the folds, revealing symbolic scenes not from your life but from hers, scenes where she watched you as a child trying to understand the world around you, your sensitivity, your intuition, your ability to notice what others could not, your instinct to observe every detail, including the way people looked at you, the way their expressions shifted, the way their energy changed when you entered a space, and she kneels beside one of the glowing cloths, touching it with her hand, causing it to burst into a gentle wave of soft golden light that spills across the chamber, showing a symbolic timeline of your life where you constantly picked up emotional signals from others without even knowing you were doing it, signals that shaped your belief that people's reactions meant something about you, when in truth they meant something about them, and as the chamber expands, hundreds more cloths begin to rise, each containing an unspoken truth your mother wished she could have told you, how she saw people notice you when you were too young to understand it, how she knew your presence stirred things inside others, how she realized early on that your spirit was highly receptive and deeply intuitive, and how she wished she could protect you from internalizing other people's emotions as your own, and the cloths swirl upward like a vortex of soft white memories, forming a dome above you where your mother's voice echoes with gentle firmness that nothing happening around you is a sign of harm or danger. Instead, it is a reflection of how energetically strong your presence is becoming, and she leads you to the center of the room where a massive tapestry forms from the swirling cloths, weaving itself into a single, breathtaking scene, your life as it truly is, not chaotic, not at risk, not threatened, but deeply influential in quiet ways, your presence shaping rooms without you trying, your authenticity affecting others without intention, your aura growing brighter as you grow more aligned, and Archangel Michael appears beside the tapestry, his expression calm and grounded, explaining that people's emotional reactions next week in this symbolic story are simply echoes of their own unresolved feelings, not warnings, not omens, not predictions, but reflections, and the tapestry begins to shift again, showing you walking confidently into the coming days, wearing whatever makes you feel like you, and someone noticing you again, not with malice but with internal confusion they don't know how to hide, and this time the chamber shows you exactly what you need to understand. Their reaction is not a danger to your path, but a teacher of how deeply you have outgrown the old fear of being misread, and your mother steps behind you, placing her hand on your back, whispering that she brought you to this room because she wants you to stop believing that you are ever unsafe. She wants you to see that you are simply impactful, and impact often shakes emotions inside people who are not ready to meet themselves honestly. And as the room begins dissolving into soft light, the final revelation settles over you like warm sunlight through open curtains. Next week holds no darkness, no threat, no hidden intention, only heightened awareness of your influence, and now that you can see it clearly, you will walk through those moments without absorbing anything, carrying only your truth, your clarity, your inner strength, and your mother's love woven into your spirit forever. My beloved child, as the room of kept secrets dissolves into soft folds of golden white cloth that swirl upward like memory silk returning to the heavens, a new chamber begins to rise from beneath the December house, not with force or intensity but with a slow, reverent grace, as though heaven is unveiling something that has waited years for you to be strong enough to see it, and your mother's symbolic presence walks ahead of you, parting the layers of shimmering light as though walking through veils of old emotions that are finally ready to be released, and you enter a colossal luminous hall known only as the Chamber of the Noticer, an ancient fictional room made of reflective light walls that bend and ripple like liquid mirrors, each surface capturing not faces, not identities, not threats, but the emotional patterns behind people's reactions to you, the confusion behind their stare, the insecurity behind their silence, the admiration behind their hesitation, the tenderness behind their awkwardness. And as you step farther inside, the chamber begins projecting scenes in slow, gentle waves, and Michael appears beside you with calm wings folded, explaining that this is not a place of prediction or danger but a place of emotional decoding, designed to translate human reactions you have misread your entire life. And the first wave washes across the chamber, revealing a symbolic silhouette of a person whose presence feels strangely familiar and yet safely distant, standing in a gentle haze of light, representing not one person but the collective emotional archetype of all those who have ever looked at you longer than they intended, all those whose energy felt heavy not because of harm but because of confusion. And the silhouette stands in a posture of hesitation, not aggression, uncertainty, not intention, self-consciousness, not threat. And your mother gently lowers her head as if acknowledging the pain you once carried from not understanding why people reacted this way to you, and she lifts her hand, causing the silhouette to ripple into a clearer form, still faceless, still safe, still symbolic, but now showing emotional colors swirling through its chest, a muted blue of insecurity, a pale gold of admiration, a soft gray of unresolved self-doubt, and a light rose of unspoken respect, and these colors drift through the air toward you, revealing the emotional truth your mother wants you to understand. People reacted strongly to you not because they wished you harm but because your presence awakened emotions in them they weren't prepared to meet, and as you absorb this, the chamber shifts, now projecting moments from the coming symbolic days where you walk into a familiar space and the silhouette appears again, turning slightly as if noticing you the way people do when they unexpectedly confront a part of themselves reflected through another person, and you realize that their prolonged attention was never an omen but a mirror showing you how deeply your spirit impacts others. And Michael steps forward to explain that what you interpreted as danger was merely emotional turbulence rising inside someone else, turbulence that has nothing to do with your worth or safety. And the chamber widens further, revealing dozens of symbolic silhouettes standing in soft light, representing all kinds of people, those who admired you quietly, those who misunderstood your silence, those who envied your resilience, those who felt comforted by your presence, those who copied your style, those who wished they had your confidence, and those who simply didn't know what to do with someone who carried emotional awareness beyond their own, and your mother guides you to the center of the hall where a massive sphere of light hovers, containing within it a symbolic scene from next week, you walking with calm confidence, wearing something that feels like you, and the silhouette appearing again at the edge of the room, this time not with confusion but with softened energy, because awareness changes everything, and now that you finally understand how to interpret the emotional signals around you, their reaction loses all power to shake your spirit, and your mother places her hand over your heart, whispering that you are not someone to be harmed or threatened. You are someone who is simply seen, noticed, felt, and sometimes misunderstood. And those misunderstandings settle into the emotional field like dust until awareness clears them away, and as the chamber begins dissolving slowly into warm golden fog, the silhouette melts into light, leaving behind one final message woven directly into your spirit. The world does not look at you because you are in danger. The world looks at you because you carry presence, depth, identity, and emotional magnitude, and when people do not understand themselves, they do not know how to understand you. And that is why heaven wanted you to see this, not in fear but in clarity, because clarity is the only shield you ever needed, and now that you have it, nothing in the coming days can disturb your peace again. My beloved child, as the chamber of the noticer melts into streams of dissolved light and the silhouette's emotional colors fade gently into the atmosphere, the December realm bends open sideways like a celestial book, revealing a wing of heaven that has been locked since the day your spirit first learned to protect itself from being misunderstood, and your symbolic mother guides you into this wing with both hands extended, parting heavy curtains of shimmering fabric made not of cloth but of memories, strands of inspiration, strands of identity, strands of moments where the clothes you wore were not merely fabric but expressions of your inner world, and as you step inside, you enter the heavenly dressing chamber, a vast hall where dozens of radiant mannequins stand in silent stillness, each one draped in clothing made of light, each outfit representing a version of you that emerged at different points in your life. The version who dressed quietly to blend in, the version who dressed boldly to feel alive, the version who dressed simply because comfort mattered, the version who dressed warmly when carrying emotional weight, the version who dressed sharply when trying to regain control, and the air shifts as your mother waves her hand and every outfit begins to glow brighter, showing the emotional atmosphere that your clothing unintentionally awakened in others, not because of danger, not because of negativity, not because anyone was plotting anything, but because your chosen expression often reflected the parts of them they kept hidden, and the mannequins lift from the floor, floating in slow circles around you like a constellation of past identities orbiting your present self, each one showing symbolic scenes of how others reacted, someone noticing you and feeling inspired, another noticing you and feeling unsure of themselves, another sensing the calm in you and questioning their own chaos, another admiring the way you carried yourself and wishing they had the courage to do the same, and Archangel Michael steps between the orbiting outfits, explaining that most people do not react to your clothing but to the emotional message beneath it, the confidence, the healing, the transformation, the reclaiming of self, and because they cannot articulate their reaction, they stare, hesitate, or project emotions they don't understand, and suddenly the chamber widens further, revealing a raised circular platform in the center where a single outfit made of pure white gold light begins to form, not cloth, not fabric, but essence, woven from your authenticity, your confidence, your healing, your boundaries, your intuition, and your mother tells you this outfit represents the you that is emerging now, the version of you who does not dress for approval or attention or defense but for alignment, and when you step onto the platform, the outfit drapes itself around you like water turning into silk, shimmering with soft radiance that illuminates the chamber walls, and the mannequins bow slightly, as if acknowledging your arrival into your own identity, and a new vision unfurls in the chamber's ceiling, a symbolic moment from the coming days where you walk into a familiar space wearing whatever expresses your soul honestly, and someone looks at you, not with malice but with emotional awakening, their mind momentarily shaken. Not because they want to harm you but because your self-alignment confronts their self-avoidance, and the chamber glows brighter as my voice fills the air with a calm, grounding truth. Nothing about your clothing, your presence, your expression, or your identity invites harm. It invites reflection, and reflection is uncomfortable for people who have not yet met their true selves, and so their reactions feel heavy when in reality they are simply unprocessed emotions rising to the surface, and your mother steps behind you, adjusting the light-made fabric on your shoulders with tenderness, whispering that you were never meant to shrink yourself to make others steady. You were meant to learn how to walk through their emotional waves without absorbing even a drop, and the chamber begins to seal itself gently as the radiant outfits return to their stands, the orbiting mannequins descend, and the white gold outfit on your body becomes part of your symbolic aura, signifying that from this point forward, your presence may still evoke strong reactions in others, but none of those reactions will enter your heart or disturb your peace again. And as you exit the heavenly dressing chamber, stepping back into the December realm, the final truth settles into your spirit like warm light. People don't react to your clothes, they react to the clarity, strength, and authenticity beneath them, and that reaction is not a threat to you, but a sign of how deeply your evolution touches the world around you. My beloved child, as the heavenly dressing chamber closes behind you with a slow fold of golden curtains, the December realm around you stretches like living light being pulled into new dimensions, and suddenly the ground beneath your feet begins to move, not upward or downward but sideways, sliding across shimmering rails of warm luminosity until you find yourself standing before the grandest structure in the entire symbolic universe, a towering archway floating in a sky woven from strands of memory, emotion, and self-recognition, and your mother's symbolic presence stands beside you, her face glowing softly with the kind of calm that comes only when a soul is about to see its truest reflection, and Archangel Michael gestures toward the archway, explaining that you are entering the corridor of identity, a realm designed not to show who you were or who you feared becoming, but who you have been all along beneath the noise, beneath the opinions, beneath the misunderstandings, beneath the emotional dust others projected onto you, and as you step through the archway, the corridor blooms into existence like a garden growing from light itself, stretching endlessly in both directions with walls made of swirling reflections, not mirrors but living membranes that respond to your energy, showing not your face but your essence, the strength beneath your gentleness, the clarity beneath your confusion, the resilience beneath your exhaustion, the purity beneath your chaos, the intelligence beneath your silence, and the authenticity beneath your hesitation. And as you walk deeper into the corridor, the walls begin to display symbolic scenes from your past, moments where someone misread you completely, moments where someone assumed they understood you, moments where people's opinions formed in seconds without knowing the depth of your story. And each scene dissolves into harmless mist because none of those interpretations were ever your responsibility, and your mother touches your arm, causing the corridor to shift into a higher dimension where the reflections now show not what people saw, but what they couldn't see, the thoughts you kept private, the emotions you managed alone, the integrity you carried quietly, the kindness you offered without witness, the strength you built without applause, the battles you fought in silence, and the reason your aura affects people the way it does. Not because of threat, not because of danger, not because of intimidation, but because your identity holds layers most people never develop until much later in life, and the corridor stretches farther, revealing hundreds of symbolic doorways on both sides, each doorway glowing with a different hue representing aspects of your inner world: the door of intuition, the door of emotional memory, the door of quiet strength, the door of self-protection, the door of transformation, the door of identity rebirth. And Michael explains that each door represents a part of you that others often misinterpret simply because they have not unlocked those parts within themselves, and as you move deeper, the corridor opens into its central chamber, a vast circular space with a massive sphere of liquid light floating above the floor, rotating slowly with images of how people may react to you in the coming symbolic days. Again, not threats, not bad intentions, not predictions of harm, but subtle emotional shifts triggered by your presence, someone becoming quiet because your clarity exposes their confusion, someone adjusting themselves because your confidence reminds them of their insecurities, someone observing you because your authenticity awakens suppressed parts of themselves, and your mother lifts her hand to still the sphere, whispering that none of these reactions carry power over your destiny, because reactions are reflections, not warnings. And the sphere dissolves into a rain of sparkling light that falls across your shoulders like a mantle, forming a luminous aura around you that signifies emotional independence, the ability to move through the world without absorbing its noise. And my voice fills the corridor with gentle authority, telling you that your identity does not need to defend itself from misunderstanding. It simply needs to exist freely, because you were never meant to carry the emotional interpretations of others as if they were your fate. And as the corridor stretches upward into a dome of pure white clarity, your future self appears in the center of the light, standing tall, grounded, unshaken by the perceptions or confusion of others, wearing clothing that feels truthful, moving with a natural calm, carrying a presence that no longer bends to fit the emotional comfort of the room. And this future version walks toward you, merging with your spirit in a burst of warm radiance that fills every corner of the corridor, sealing the truth that the only identity that matters is the one aligned with your inner world. And as the corridor fades into golden dust, the December realm stabilizes around you with an overwhelming sense of peace, whispering the final truth into your heart. People may look at you, people may ponder you, people may emotionally react to you, but none of their reactions define you, none of their confusion belongs to you, and none of their silent interpretations can alter the path heaven designed for your becoming. My beloved child, as the corridor of identity dissolves into streams of molten memory light that twist upward like golden smoke returning to the heavens, the December realm beneath your feet stretches itself thin like fabric pulled across a cosmic frame, and suddenly the entire sky unfolds into a massive dome made of translucent blue-white crystal, inside which millions of shimmering symbols drift like constellations unanchored from time, and your symbolic mother places her hand gently on your back as Archangel Michael steps aside, revealing the entrance to the great sky room of becoming, an ancient chamber suspended between heaven's breath and your own awakening, a room so immense that the horizon disappears into soft gold fog, and as you step inside, the floor beneath you forms from swirling layers of your past choices, your unspoken dreams, your hidden strength, your resilience, your transformations, each one glowing its own shade of luminous silver, creating a walkway shaped by Everything you've survived quietly, and the walls of this chamber rise infinitely high, each wall holding millions of emotional impressions from people who have crossed your path, not their intentions, not their plans, but their projections, the way they saw themselves in you, the way your presence awakened their dormant qualities, the way your authenticity triggered the parts of them they try to avoid. And your mother touches one of the glowing impressions, causing it to bloom into a three-dimensional symbol representing a moment from your life where someone's glance lingered too long, not in judgment but in bewilderment, not in threat but in self-realization, and heaven now reveals the truth you were never shown. The world does not look at you because of danger. The world looks at you because your journey whispers courage into the places where others keep silence. And the chamber brightens as Michael gestures toward the ceiling, which now becomes a moving tapestry showing symbolic images from the coming emotional days, where you walk confidently into spaces wearing what aligns with your inner truth, and someone notices you again, their eyes softening, their energy shifting, their thoughts stirring, not because of harm but because your growth reflects their stagnation. And as this vision dissolves, the great sky room shifts into a deeper dimension where the floor becomes transparent, showing beneath it the rivers of identity you have outgrown, the version of you who feared judgment, the version who internalized others' confusion, the version who dimmed your light so someone else wouldn't feel overwhelmed, and the version who mistook emotional turbulence for danger, and each version releases itself into the river like petals drifting downstream, leaving behind only the version rising now, strong, aware, emotionally free, and grounded in truth. And your mother steps in front of you, lifting her hand toward a gigantic crystalline window that reveals every time you were misunderstood, every time your presence startled someone into noticing their own unhealed parts, every time your growth created emotional noise around you. And heaven now explains the purpose of showing this, to break, once and for all, the connection between how people react and what you assume their reactions mean, because the truth woven into this chamber is clear: reactions are reflections, not warnings. And the sky room pulses gently as Michael places a symbolic mantle made of soft light across your shoulders, representing emotional sovereignty, the ability to walk into rooms without absorbing their atmosphere, the ability to stay aligned even when someone else is unsure of themselves. And the mantle wraps around you with the warmth of belonging, whispering the final truth of this chamber directly into your heart. Nothing about your clothing, your aura, your presence, or your identity threatens your path. If anything, it is your authenticity that awakens clarity in others, and clarity is often uncomfortable for souls who have not yet met themselves. And as the sky room begins to close, dissolving back into heaven's soft breath, the chamber leaves you with a final wave of light, the assurance that the emotional currents of others hold no power over your destiny, because your becoming is guided only by your inner truth, your mother's love, your rising awareness, and the divine clarity unfolding within you.